Fire it up. There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams, bar none. No one can even compete. The site where I, Hal Sparks, the deep state, the Democratic establishment, and look, for the record, I am the deep state, okay? Everybody else scrapes the shit out of the sides while I'm hitting bottom. You know what I'm saying? I'm the deep state. And also, this is the site where Hal Sparks is in the only way that Hal Sparks can, as Hal Sparks likes to Hal Sparks while he's Hal Sparksing. A lot of stuff to cover today, not the least of which is, boy, did we pick a good time to start dipping into the Tim Pool drool. Boy, did that dickhead step in it. So in case you haven't heard, and we'll get to the actual video of the, of Merrick Garland today. I'm going to play that for you in a little bit, where they announced an indictment of two RT employees, Russian government, Kremlin employees, who are set up a phony organization that was feeding money and talking points to a couple of different, a bunch of different influencers, but one of them being Tim Pool. And how we were like, oh, by the way, hi, chat room. Let me bring the chat room in here on this because remember how we were talking about why he seems so fucking mad? Like, I get that, if you think it's dangerous and you're like, Jesus Christ, this could escalate. There's an emotional content to what you're saying where you're like, this war could spiral out of control. There's kind of a desperate emotional thing to that. You know what I mean? Whereas you don't have control of the circumstance, and it would be expressed in how you feel and how you express those feelings, one would think. But anger seems to be based on this idea. All anger is based on loss, by the way. And if you don't believe me, think it through. But if you don't have control over something in the first place, rage anger is a bit peculiar. It's usually a desperation anger or a sorrowful anger that tints that, because, and this may be the actor in me talking, because you can only be angry about something you previously had control of and you've lost control of it, right? If you never had control of it, your anger would be like, Jesus Christ, we're all going to die. Like that, it fits in that zone, right? As opposed to, if they don't do what I say, we're all going to die. That's just like a direct threat. Like you have a line to the people with their thumb on the button. Right, understand? So there's a different tonality to it. And it seemed odd at just how dedicated Tim Pool was to his anger about Ukraine and stuff. It really stood out. Merrick Garland issued an arrest warrant for some Russians today. And these Russians... well, I'll show you in a second, but they we'll get into each piece of it because there's too many rabbit holes to go down. But here we go. Let's do some hard news. Come on now. It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Look at this crowd in here. I mean, and here's the thing, even outside it's packed. That's the amazing part. Okay, so, and also, if I may, where's this? Let's see, yeah.
I agree. I'm a dope.
Yeah, so also there's a Hannity town hall. I'll see if it goes live while I'm on and if I can carry it or we find it, perhaps. But you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, patreon.com/Hal Sparks. And also subscribe, will ya? If you're not subscribed, just subscribe. If you're seeing this clip later, just subscribe. Also, there's a podcast, Hal Sparks. It's called the Hal Sparks Podcast Mega Worldwide. I'm nothing if not a branding genius. It's just what Hal Sparks does when he's Hal Sparksing. Okay, now, here it is. This is Merrick Garland, Judy's uncle, announcing the indictment.
Task force to respond to a dangerous increase in violent threats against the public servants who administer our elections. We did so because countless Americans...
Hold on, listen.
He's sitting down. This is the DOJ talking about charges of Russian interference in the 2024 election. Let's listen in.
Threats task force to respond to a dangerous increase in violent threats against the public servants who administer our elections. We did so because countless Americans were enduring terrible...
By the way, I'm going to shrink this down a little bit so you can see everybody who's involved. That's Chris Wray right there, if you notice. And Chris Wray always has this, well, that fucked look on his face, just all the time. He looks like a character actor on a 70s sitcom.
Threats simply for doing their civic duty.
Yeah, thanks, Rudy.
And we did so because threats to election workers constitute threats to our democracy itself. In just a few minutes, the task force here will meet to discuss its continuing work in advance of the upcoming election. But before we begin, I want to address the tragic shooting that occurred this morning at a high school in Winder, Georgia. We are still gathering information, but the FBI and ATF are on the scene.
Also, I don't know why you would switch microphones right at this time. So lame.
Working with state, local, and federal partners.
It's almost as if Fox, has an aversion to carrying information about school shootings.
I'm devastated for the families who have been affected by this terrible tragedy. The Justice Department stands ready to provide any resources or support that the Winder community needs in the days ahead. Before I get to the work of the task force, I also want to announce two major law enforcement actions that the Justice Department is taking that are separate from the important work of this task force, but are part of our broader effort to protect our elections from unlawful interference of any kind.
And this is the part that where Tim Pool is tearing up the cutout of the boat he was going to buy. Just.
First, this morning we unsealed an indictment in the Southern District of New York of Konstantin Kalashnikov and Elena Afanasieva,
By the way, two Russians that could not have more Russian names if they were actually dancing liquid vodka beings from space. This is bullshit. I am an American citizen. You must know this. Everything. I am most American that has ever been American. Fuck you, I am more American than you. I'm real American who lives in Indianapolis. I'm super American guy. I just want to believe in freedom and freedom of speech until such time as we can shut those woke libtards up. Yes. So here, no one is more American than me and my friend and our other friend Apple Pie. If you've never met Apple Pie, she's a sweetie. She's sick right now. She's gravity poisoning. She wrote some post and was taken away. I agree. So, what is this swine saying about us?
Russian-based employees of RT.
Oh, I love RT. I watch it all the time. I mean, what's RT? Never heard of. Blaze Channel.
A Russian state-controlled media outlet. They are charged with conspiring to commit money laundering and to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act.
So you're giving them an award. That's nice. That's what you do. You give them an award when they do this type of thing. Yeah? When they just even conspiring to violate that act gives me a mild chub.
That law, enacted nearly a century ago, was
so it's old. We should probably throw it out. Probably past its expiration date.
enacted to ensure that the American people were informed when a foreign power engages in political activities or
Yeah, no. Who wrote it? What a bunch of dicks.
seeks to influence public discourse. The American people
Hey, somebody in the chat room keeps saying my buns are shiny. Eyes up, ladies. I'm a real man.
are entitled to know when a foreign power is attempting to exploit our country's free exchange of ideas in order to
I'm sorry, free exchange of ideas always makes me laugh.
send around its own propaganda. The company never disclosed to the... I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, too, that it never disclosed to them. It did not give them the pride of supporting Mother Russia. I mean, Indiana.
And that is what we alleged happened in this case. In the wake of Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine in February 2022,
Yeah, Big Z. I mean, oh yeah, that wasn't necessarily good, but probably deserved it.
RT, which was then known as Russia Today, was
Yes. Yesterday it was known as Russia Today. Tomorrow it will be Russia Tomorrow. That's what we call it now. We call it. That's what they call it. Called Russia Tomorrow. We call it Ruska Mir in Indiana. You know, at the hot dog bar where we all hang out and talk baseball and tits like good Americans and guns.
was dropped by its American distributors. The company ceased its formal operations in the United States,
But not its informal operations, if you get my wiener.
and the European Union, the UK, and Canada banned RT's broadcasting. But as RT itself has boasted, the government of Russia continued to use RT to direct disinformation and propaganda.
Yes, that's why we call it Russia Tomorrow. Because tomorrow we will all be Russians. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I got so excited.
In the wake of Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine, RT's editor-in-chief said the company had built, quote, an entire empire of covert projects designed to shape public opinion in Western audiences.
Yeah, but when he said it, it sounded a lot cooler, right? Because A, he was leaning back in a chair and he had a cigarette, and the cigarette was making smoke, and he was blowing smoke, and he said, RT has great program to blow. Like, he does it so good. I can't even do it. He's so cool.
We allege that as part of that effort, RT and its employees, including the defendants, implemented a nearly $10 million scheme to fund and direct a Tennessee-based company to
That's pretty fucking cheap. Holy shit. Wait a minute. You can buy an influence operation in Tennessee for $10 million? Sign me up.
publish and disseminate
I lose that money, that much falls out of my pockets when I'm running for the bus.
content deemed favorable to the Russian government. To implement this scheme, the defendants directed the company to contract with U.S.-based social media influencers
Yeah, we call them dipshits. Useful dipshits. Till they're not useful anymore, then we call them stains on concrete.
to share this content on their platforms.
Yeah.
The subject matter and content of many of the videos published by the company were often consistent with Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions in order to weaken U.S. opposition to core Russian interests, particularly its ongoing war in Ukraine.
Okay, great. So, my real quick, what's the problem?
The company never disclosed to the influencers or to their millions of followers its ties to RT.
Yeah, but let's be honest. You could tell from the accent, and there was a shit ton of winking, okay? There was like, hey, I'm an independent guy. I'm from Tennessee, Mr. Man. Come on. Believe me, this is money coming straight for shit. Far as you know, this comes right from Graceland. Shut up.
And the Russian government. Instead, the defendants and the company claimed that the company was sponsored by a private investor. But that private investor was a fictitious persona.
Yeah, that's pretty much as private as you can get. That's like super fucking private, okay? That's like the most private. Like, I mean, what's more private than invisible, yeah? What's more private than, you're just sitting there at the ballpark, laying there amongst the other hot dogs, knowing that you're full of Zyklon B.
The charges unsealed this morning do not represent the end of the investigation.
Shit.
It remains active and ongoing.
Hey guys, real quick, this is a real interesting story. Don't get me wrong. Very interesting story. I'm sure it's fascinating, got a lot of moving parts. I'm sure, keep up. You know what? I'm going to read about it next week, maybe a week after that, something like this. But right now, I just got to go, okay? All right, bye. Yeah, he just left. I don't know why he ran off. That's weird.
In a separate enforcement action, the Justice Department is seizing 32 internet domains that the Russian government and the Russian-sponsored actors have used to engage.
Let me guess. The Blaze, The Intercept. Oh, no, we're not going that deep yet. It's ongoing.
Engage in a covert campaign to interfere.
Tom Hartman left RT in 2017, maybe smelt a rat. No, that place smelled like rats all the time.
And influence the outcome of our country's elections. As alleged in our court filings, President Vladimir Putin's inner circle, including Sergei Kalishnikov, directed Russian public relations companies to promote disinformation and state-sponsored narratives as part of a program to influence the 2024 U.S. presidential election. An internal planning document created by the Kremlin states that as a goal of the campaign is securing Russia's preferred outcome in the election.
And who could that be? Have you been watching lately? They big Biden Kamala fans? They big fans of unconditional support for Ukraine? I can't tell. I haven't really been paying that much attention.
The online infrastructure used by the Russian public relations company known as the Social Design Agency, or SDA, and related actors included what are sometimes referred to as cyber-squatted domains. These
cyber-squatted domains. Yes, these are like they're like fake, like WashingtonPest.com as opposed to Post.
Websites were designed to appear to American readers as if they were major U.S. news sites like the Washington Post or Fox News.
Right.
But in fact, they were fake sites. They were filled with Russian government propaganda that had been created by the Kremlin to reduce international support for Ukraine, bolster pro-Russian policies and interests, and influence voters in the United States and in other countries.
So that's what all the sweating at the Blaze is about right now?
Internal documents of the Kremlin describe the content as, quote, bogus stories disguised as newsworthy events, close quote.
And also sort of gnarly. Like they start bogus and then they fucking go straight to gnarly. Just saying.
This malign influence campaign has been referred to as doppelganger.
Ooh, because they're the evil version of the real site that looks like it's opposite. That'd be the thing, sure.
The Russian public relations companies drove viewers to these websites by deploying influencers and paid social media advertisements. They also created fake social...
Oh, you mean like when we see somebody like Tim Pool citing a really fucked up, weird news site that he just seemed to pull out of fucking nowhere? And he's just citing like netguru.com or something like that, and it's suddenly... because it sells Bitcoin, but it also does political news, and somehow that site's bullshit, you say?
Social media profiles, posing as U.S. citizens, post comments on social media platforms with links to the sites. According to SDA's records, it actively sought to, quote, eliminate the possibility of detection of the Russian footprint.
Yeah, that seems to make sense. I think you could guess it. Oh, thanks for the gifted memberships. And thank you guys for the super chat. Thank you, Tobias. Thank you for the wiggly wiener. I appreciate that. Gloat, greatest live stream of all time. Thank you. I agree. Where else can you do a wobbly hot dog? I agree. Yeah. 41 months and 1 week. I've been a member of the greatest live stream ever. House Sparks. His live chat room on YouTube is the greatest there's ever been. Thank you, Treva, for noticing and having the decency to be able to speak out. I don't know.
Both of the schemes I've just discussed make clear the ends to which the Russian government, including at its highest levels, is willing to go to undermine our democratic process. But the enforcement actions I've discussed also make clear that the Justice Department will aggressively counter such efforts. And the same is true of the entire United States government. Today, our colleagues at the State and Treasury Departments...
By the way, I love the Fox News Chiron. Garland, Kremlin created bogus news stories. You think?
...are announcing parallel actions in both of these matters. Unfortunately, we know that Russia is not the only foreign power seeking to interfere in our elections. As the U.S. intelligence community noted 2 weeks ago, we have observed increasingly aggressive Iranian activity during this election cycle.
Yeah, they hacked into both the DNC and the RNC and attempted to do the Trump and the Harris campaign.
That includes recently reported activities by Iran to compromise former President Trump's campaign and to avoid an election outcome that it regards as against its interests. Those recently reported Iranian activities also include efforts to obtain access to individuals who themselves have access to the presidential campaigns of both political parties. The Justice Department's message is clear. We have no tolerance for attempts by authoritarian regimes to exploit our democratic system of government. We will be relentlessly aggressive in countering and disrupting attempts by Russia and Iran, as well as China or any other foreign malign actor to interfere in our elections and undermine our democracy.
Yeah, here, listen to that. China, if you attack us, we'll hit back at the North Korean cyber farm that you guys pay.
Now I will turn back to the topic of today's meeting.
Okay, anyways, there you go. So that's what's come out. And the in the indictment, they named the company that Benny Johnson and Tim Pool both work for, the agency that they work for. So let's see. Yeah, so whoops, let me back up here. Yeah. So the U.S. has seized 32 domains. One doppelganger appears to be, let's see. Employed a mix of creating sites with slightly different web addresses that mimic U.S. news outlets, including one appearing to be the Washington Post, that are plastered with pro-Russian narratives. It also created other media brands to funnel Russian content. As of noon today, they seized those sites and shut them down, blah, blah, blah. Let's look at, if I may, let's see. Tim Pool, Russian, let's see, indictment. That'll work. Dave, here we go. Yeah, this is good stuff. Mediaite has this up, of course. Scroll this up. Beg your pardon. So, yeah, Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, Tim Pool exposed as working for alleged Russian influence operation in new DOJ indictment. These three dickheads. No surprise at all. Like, especially Benny Johnson. Like, you know, probably this is from right to left, from most culpable to least culpable, but they're all culpable. So just saying, like the biggest dummy in the mix is probably Dave Rubin, because he's. I mean, I don't even know that he's been that hardline on Ukraine. These two guys have been shitting on Ukraine nonstop. I haven't watched enough of his stuff, but none of it's floated to the top. Indictment does not identify the company by name, but descriptions of the indictment match those of Tennessee-based Tenet Media, reported the Tennessean. Tenet Media's website declares fearless voices live here. Describes itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues. Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Lauren Southern, Taylor Hansen, and Matt Christensen. So let's take a look at their page, shall we? This is Tenet Media. There you go. This is and look at the lit. They all got their picture taken, staring into the light. This is their talent. Meet the talent. Lauren Southern, Tim Pool, Taylor Hansen. Obviously, I would argue that talent should be in quotes, but whatever. I don't know what they're allegedly talented at. Taylor Hansen is a field reporter for Tenet Media. His coverage consists of nationwide breaking news. Tim Pool is a podcast host. Lauren Southern is a Canadian journalist. Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, Matt Christensen. I don't know Matt Christensen of these. He's from Bozeman, Montana. First gaining popularity in 2016. Christensen has since garnered a loyal audience for his YouTube channel, The Matt and Blonde Show, which he co-hosts. Having a background in political science, Christensen offers clear-headed analysis of the news with a focus on this. Okay, contact us. Yeah, sure. Why you guys taking Russian money, dum-dum? Is a network of heterodox commentators, all right, that focus on Western political and cultural issues. Our goal, which is one word. Our goal is one word. To support creators who question institutions that believe themselves to be above questioning. So the Russians and the Chinese, I guess. Because the United States government does not believe it's above questioning, whatever. In our view, all issues du jour, good Lord, merit rigorous and honest discussion if one wants to come close to the truth. For those interested in authentic coverage, Tenet Media is your home for content. Fearless voices live here. That's the part of it. So these are the guys who were all in on this shit. Let's see. And here we go. Yeah, according to the DOJ press release regarding the unsealed indictment, 2 Russian nationals, Konstantin Kalishnikov, as in the gun, AK-47, 31, also known as Kostya, and Elena Afanasyeva, also known as Lena, were charged with conspiracy to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act and conspiracy to commit money laundering. They're employed by RT. Shows that they launched several covert projects, blah, 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 from the DOJ president. Many of the videos posted on the U.S. Company One contain commentary on events and issues in the U.S., such as immigration, inflation, and other topics related to domestic foreign policy. While the views expressed in these videos are not uniform, most are directed to the publicly stated goals of the government of Russia and RT to amplify domestic divisions in the United States. In order to carry out RT's secret influence campaign in the United States, Kalishnikov and Afanasyeva operated under covert identities at U.S. Company One, posing as an outside editor. He edited content and monitored their funding and hiring, introduced her as a member of his purported editing team, using fake personas Helena Shudra and Victoria Pesti. Afanasyeva posted and directed the posting by U.S. Company One hundreds of videos. They also collected information from and gave instructions to U.S. Company One staff. For example, after the March 22nd, 2024 terrorist attack on a music venue in Moscow, Afanasyeva asked one of the U.S. Company One's founders to blame Ukraine and the United States for the attack, writing, "I think we can focus on the Ukraine-U.S. angle. The mainstream media spread fake news that ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack, yet ISIS itself never made such statements." They did claim credit for it multiple times afterwards, almost irritated that anyone doubted them. All terrorists are now detained while they're heading to the border with Ukraine, which makes it even more suspicious. Why would they go to Ukraine to hide? Which is, I don't know, it's bullshit. U.S. Company One never disclosed its viewers that it was funded and directed by RT, nor did Company One or its founders register with the Attorney General as an agent of foreign principle. Both Kalishnikov and Afanasyeva remain at large. I can't imagine where they are. Perhaps Russia. You know, has anybody checked the St. Petersburg Economic Forum? That's where the Dmitry, what's his name, and Scott Ritter were headed. Justice Department will not tolerate attempts by this is Merrick Garland's statement. Johnson tweeted a statement responding to the indictment, which said, which was unsealed, not leaked. A year ago, a media startup pitched my company to provide content as an independent contractor. Our lawyers negotiated a standard arm's length deal, which was later terminated. We are disturbed by the allegations in today's indictment, which make clear that myself and other influencers were victims in this alleged scheme. My lawyers will handle anyone who states or suggests otherwise. And again, our arm's length deal. What does arm's length mean? They just delivered videos and you just posted them for money? Make clear that myself and others were victims in this alleged scheme. You were willing victims, though. Poole also said posted a statement. They don't say what his statement was. Rubin has not yet posted his own statement, but did retweet Poole's and shared a tweet from this or whatever. Read the okay. I don't know why. The post. Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, Timble exposed as working for alleged Russian influence operator. Okay, there you go. I don't know why Poole's statement isn't up. We'll have to check that out. Chat room. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Tim Poole statement on indictment. RT? Mm-hmm. looking for it. Pardon me for Summer left a little candy on my thing. It's calling my name. Maybe it's on Twitter. I'm looking for it on the website. Tim Pool. Looking it up right now. Yeah, here's this statement. My statement regarding allegations in the leaked DOJ indictment. Okay, it was not leaked. It was released. It was unsealed. Nobody released it, stupid. It was not released. Should these allegations prove true, they are. I, as well as other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else in the company as to what they do or to what they are instructed. Jesus Christ. Did the people who gave you the Russian talking points also construct that fucking statement? Who? That can't be all of it, right? Trump operatives say their Project 2020 plan, Tenet Media, incited indictment or whatever, Banks Taylor. Let's see. Wonder if the $10 million funneled into Tim Pool's company had anything to do with this rant. Yeah,
they are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong. I know you've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
Gee, he doesn't sound like somebody who's getting money from the Russians at all. Yeah, so, okay, so maybe this has the full, post is deleted by, oh. Wait, he pulled his statement. That's why other people are posting, I'll show you. This is, let's look at this right here. This is him, somebody responded, yeah, Tim, you clearly weren't parroting Russia's talking points. And it was in response to something that Tim posted, and it says this post was deleted by the post author. Yeah. Tim Pool spoke to a Russian agent pretending to be a Hungarian businessman on a secure call. While falsely claiming that the indictment posted on the official DOJ press release was leaked, Tim Pool defends himself by claiming he was too stupid to realize that he was getting paid to be a useful idiot by the Russian agents, so that somehow makes it okay. And then this is what the other part... on or about February 22nd, 2023, Founder One emailed Persona One that Founder One had spoken with Commentator 2, who was, quote, happy with the licensing arrangement that was discussed. On Commentator 2's call with Edward Gregorian, Founder One continued, however, that Commentator 2 will still would like to know more about the company and who will be working with. Founder One also said the founder had assured Commentator 2 that as we finalize the contract and begin working to put his show together and coordinate the launch, everyone will have time to get to know each other better and feel less like strangers. This is from the phone. Tim Pool spoke to a Russian agent pretending to be a Hungarian businessman on a secret call. Okay, so here's the... I don't know. Yeah, he cut and pasted it, and then he... Tim Pool lied about having done a nollie hard flip. Sorry. Stunning leaked DOJ indictment alleges that Tim Pool lied about doing a nollie hard flip. I think an ollie hard flip. It was a gross shove it, an unnamed source close to the investigation. Right. Here it is. Should these allegations be true? What they're instructing. The Culture War podcast was licensed by Tenet Media. It existed well before any license agreement with Tenet, and it will continue to exist after any such agreement expires. The only change with the agreement was that the location of the live broadcast moved to Tenet's YouTube channel. Never at any point did anyone other than I have full editorial control of the show, and contents of the show are often apolitical. Examples including discussion, spirituality, dating, and video games. The show is produced in its entirety by our local team without any input from anyone in the external. TCW is a separate company not associated with timcast.com or other properties. It exists solely for the production of the Culture War podcast. That being said, we'll still not do not know what is true, and these are only allegations. Putin is a scumbag. Russia sucks donkey balls. That's his thing. And to journalists who want to jump the gun, create their own narrative, or lie about what is currently going on, you can eat my Irish ass. I think that's Alex Jones is lining up to do that. Tim Pool got cleared. The DOJ basically said that Tim Pool was too dumb to be criminally responsible. Yeah. Yeah, so no surprise at all. And like his reaction has becoming like has become increasingly unhinged when it comes to Ukraine, where his like anger is growing to the point where it sounds like he's selling something. It sounds like bullshit. It sounds like it sounds like it means more to him than just like kind of a political belief. Next News Network, indeed, now the left-wing smear machines are out and working to smear Tim Pool and Tenet Media, even though the DOJ indictment in its own admission says the Russian individuals conceal their identity to trick them, whatever. Well, again, they're still carrying the message directly from RT. Like at some point, when do they hand you some talking points, and then when they hand you the talking point, you're just you're like, Jesus Christ, you know, this video they put up on our channel, or this stuff they asked us to do, sounds exactly like the shit that Scott Ritter is saying. Sounds exactly like what RT says in clips we've seen. Curious. Yeah. I'm not being defensive. Why would I do that? I know that. I know that. You know that. Why wouldn't I know that? Of course I know that. I'm not being defensive. And then, yeah, Cheney endorsing Harris over Trump was a big thing. And then a bunch of these are Temple linked to Russian influence operation is now trending on Twitter. Because he has been. Temple and Benny Johnson get millions to spread Russian propaganda. Yeah, it's true. And about resources, let's see. In or about October 2023, or in about August 2024, RT sent wire transfers to U.S. Company One totaling approximately $9.7 million, which represented nearly 90% of U.S. Company One's bank deposits from all sources combined. So they basically brought in about $11 million in revenue, and 9.7 of it came from RT. So the company behind Tim Pool's channel, keeping it afloat, paying staff, all that kind of stuff, and Benny Johnson and Lauren Southern and all these other assholes, the backfill funding that they are receiving, which I'm sure is less than their fair share of it because of how these organizations work anyways, was the majority of the money coming in was not from ad rev or sales or any of that shit from the actual sites. It was backfilled money by Russia. The wires were sent from shell companies in Turkey, the UAE, and Mauritius, and were often accompanied by wire notes ascribing the payments to purchases of electronics. For example, the wire note for $318,800 wire payment from a shell entity to Turkey to U.S. Company One on March 1st read, buying goods, invoice 13, iPhone 15 Pro Max, 512 gigabyte. So that was a fucking super expensive iPhone. That must be the rose gold one. Lottie fucking da. I'm just saying. Lottie fucking da. Yeah, so they hid $318,000 in payments for electronics. I don't know why that wouldn't red flag anybody. It's a fucking expensive phone. This is the podcast they're talking about. The Culture War with Tin Pool, Donnie Dargand and Sovereign Bruh. Donald Trump may be the Antichrist, or is it Elon Musk? This is one of those reverse trigger titles to get people who support Trump to go, hey, wait a second. And then by the time they realize you're making the opposite point or you're mocking the people who make that point, you've already heard 3 of their ads. Yeah, we covered this part, his big Russia's or Ukraine is the enemy flip out a while back. Yeah, that is a good point this person makes. Tim Pool is lucky that he's so well known to be a moron that it's completely plausible he was on Putin's payroll without knowing. Absolutely true, Armand. That is absolutely the fact. Like, if there's anybody that could be a useful idiot who had no idea what the fuck was going on, it's Tim Pool. Let's see. Tim Pool claims he knew nothing about being paid by Russia to spread propaganda. I think I'm starting to understand why Tim Pool is so obsessed with civil war. You are in a civil war, it all depends, civil war. You're in a civil war. By the way, this is part of the statements that they wanted posted to divide the country. If you want to talk about being paid to say something on the regular, just post that we're in a civil war. What do you think the chances are that those were, 318 tweets about us being in a civil war or at the edge of a civil war, $1,000 a pop, and he did them on his phone. So that's how they kind of wink and nod. Yep, that's it. Civil war. They refuse to back down. They're actually insane. There's going to be a civil war. We get it. They want civil war. Civil war. This is in 2020, 2022. This is recent. Also, by the way, we're not in a civil war. I would like to say for the record. At all. We're just saying we're not in a civil war. We're not going to be in a civil war. Just period. Alleged Russia funded media company linked to right wing social media star. There you go. Yeah, this is Seth Abramson's tweeted out this from the article on it today. And again, no one should be surprised that they're using these guys, and I think the other part of it is these guys don't have to know directly that they're being paid to know that this money is coming with very few strings attached, and the only strings attached seem to be, shit on America and slice up the electorate, make them fight each other. Just write civil war a bunch. You should really focus on civil war. Like we get a lot of stuff on, the Civil War, so they love it when you talk about that. Okay. Yeah, Tenet Media. In Diamond on Seal, there you go, $10 million, right? It was 9.7 or 9.4. Right. I'm almost about to sneeze, but I've been fighting it. We are disturbed by the allegations. You make clear that myself and other influencers were victims in this alleged scheme, blah, blah, blah. The show is produced entirely by our local team without any input from anyone external to the company. No, but they boost you because you're saying the right things. And if you stop saying the right things, they will no longer boost you. Again, these are also the same motherfuckers constantly saying that I and Texas Paul and Boston Brian and the Midas Touch guys and fucking JoJo from Jers and all this stuff and are all propped up by Soros money, right? Again, it's always projection from these assholes.